Why you should live for yourself, not for others. Everything you've been taught about being a good woman is a trap, and the reason you feel empty despite doing everything right is because you've been living someone else's life in your body. You know her. She finally said no. She stopped showing up to things she didn't want to attend. She quit the job that looked good on paper. She ended the relationship everyone approved of. And 6 months later, she's unrecognizable, glowing, confident, free, while you're still making everyone else happy and wondering why you feel like you're disappearing. Here's what nobody tells you. The women who transform their lives don't become selfish. They become sovereign. And if you keep prioritizing everyone else's comfort over your own soul, you'll keep waking up 10 years from now in the same position, just more resentful. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you why 87% of women report feeling like they're living for others, and the exact pattern the other 13% follow. The ones who reclaim their lives, set boundaries without guilt, and build an existence that's actually theirs. This isn't about being selfish. It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup, and right now you're bone dry. Let's get into it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your people-pleasing isn't kindness. It's self-abandonment. And the fact that you feel guilty even reading that proves how deep the conditioning goes. From the time you were a little girl, you learned that your value comes from how well you serve others. Be sweet, be accommodating, don't make waves, make everyone comfortable. And now you're an adult who can't make a decision without considering 12 other people's feelings first. You weren't taught to be kind, you were taught to be convenient. Stanford researchers ran a study on women's decision-making patterns. They found that 74% of women consider others' reactions before their own desires when making even basic choices. What to wear, what to eat, what to do with their free time, not major life decisions, daily choices. Your brain has been wired to run every decision through an external validation filter. Is this okay? Will they be upset? What will they think? You're not living, you're performing, and the performance is exhausting you. Here's the deeper problem. The people you're sacrificing yourself for don't actually want a martyr. They want the real you. Your mother doesn't need you to call every day if you're doing it with resentment. Your partner doesn't need you to say yes when you mean no. Your friends don't need you to show up to everything while you're burning out. They need you whole. The version of you that everyone loves isn't even you. It's a carefully constructed persona designed to keep everyone happy. And it's killing the woman underneath. Women who radically transform their lives follow a pattern, and it always starts with the same realization. They understand that living for others isn't noble, it's erasure. Harvard researchers studied women who made major life changes after years of people-pleasing. Same backgrounds, same conditioning, same guilt. One group stayed in the pattern. They kept prioritizing everyone else, kept saying yes when they meant no, kept shrinking to fit. The other group started living for themselves. They set boundaries. They prioritized their own needs. They stopped explaining their choices. 5 years later, the second group reported life satisfaction rates 4 times higher. 4 times. The difference wasn't selfishness. It wasn't cruelty. It wasn't abandoning anyone. It was simple. They stopped living in response to other people's expectations and started living in alignment with their own values. Here's someone who did exactly this. Drew Barrymore. For decades, she was Hollywood's sweetheart. Always accessible, always pleasing, always performing the version everyone wanted. Then she disappeared from the spotlight, went to therapy, did the deep work, and came back completely different. Boundaries, standards, unapologetic about what she needed. The point isn't fame, the point isn't money. The point is that she stopped living for the approval of strangers and started living for herself. And the work she's done since has been her most authentic. That's the pattern. When you start living for yourself, 3 things happen. First, you stop bleeding energy into performances. No more pretending you're fine when you're not. No more forcing smiles at events you hate. No more contorting yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You get your energy back. Second, you discover who actually values you versus who values what you do for them. The people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. Third, you become a completely different woman. More present, more powerful, more alive. Because you're finally living from your center instead of your edges.
Quick question. When was the last time you did something solely because you wanted to, with no consideration for what anyone else would think? Not because it would make someone happy, not because it was expected, just because it called to your soul. If you can't remember, you're not living. You're existing in service to everyone else's idea of who you should be. Living for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival.
You can't become who you're meant to be while you're still trying to be who everyone needs you to be. Same relationships, same expectations, same roles, same obligations. You'll get the same version of yourself. Your identity isn't fixed, it's contextual. Neuroscience shows your brain literally creates different versions of you based on who you're around. Dutiful daughter with your parents, capable employee at work, fun friend with your girls, supportive partner at home. These aren't fake versions, they're context-dependent selves, and if every context demands that you shrink, you'll never discover who you are at full volume. That's why women who transform their lives change their contexts. New boundaries in old relationships, new relationships with different dynamics, new environments where they can experiment with different versions of themselves. It sounds extreme, but small boundary changes create small identity changes, and radical boundary changes create radical identity transformations. Think about a woman who moves to a new city where no one knows her history, where she's not the responsible one, where she's not the caretaker, where she's not the girl who never says no. She gets to discover who she is without all the labels. Your context is either enabling your growth or enforcing your shrinking. Women who successfully transform don't negotiate with their environment, they redesign it. Explaining yourself is a trap. Every justification for your boundaries invites negotiation. Every explanation for your choices invites opinions. And every defense of your needs invites judgment. Yale research shows women who stopped explaining their choices maintained their boundaries 73% more effectively than women who tried to justify them. Why? Because they weren't defending their right to exist on their own terms. They were exercising it. Every time someone asks why you're changing, you justify it. Every time someone says you're being selfish, you defend yourself. That's cognitive load. That's emotional labor. That's energy that could have gone into building the life you actually want. People who live for themselves understand this. They don't explain. They don't justify. They don't defend. They simply live differently. They don't announce they're setting boundaries. They just stop showing up to things that drain them. They don't declare they're prioritizing themselves. They just stop saying yes to things that don't align with their values. Silence isn't avoidance. It's sovereignty. When you live for yourself, you're not just setting boundaries. You're rehearsing a new identity. And rehearsal requires experimentation. You try on saying no. It feels uncomfortable. You adjust. You try setting a boundary. Someone pushes back. You hold firm. You try prioritizing your needs. You feel guilty. You sit with the guilt until it passes. Each time you choose yourself, you're building evidence for a new belief that you matter as much as everyone else, that your needs are as valid as theirs, that your life belongs to you. Northwestern research shows identity change requires what they call identity rehearsal, the freedom to practice new versions of yourself without immediate consequences. You can't do that while everyone is watching and critiquing every choice. You can't rehearse being unapologetically yourself while you're still explaining yourself to people who benefit from you staying small. You stop seeking approval for every boundary. And in that space, you discover who you are when you're not performing for an audience.
Remember the pattern behind why most women stay stuck in people-pleasing? This is it. They reveal their boundaries before they're solid. New standards on week 2, different priorities on week 3, changed behavior before it's integrated, and that kills the transformation. When you reveal change before it's rooted, you invite the world to challenge it. And most of the time, the people closest to you will challenge it the hardest, because your transformation threatens their comfort.
University of Michigan research found women who maintained new boundaries privately for 6 months had success rates above 80%. Women who announced them immediately fell below 35%. Don't tell people you're changing. Don't announce your new boundaries. Don't explain your evolution. Just become her. And when you do, the transformation speaks for itself. Don't say you're prioritizing yourself now. Show up as a woman who does. Don't tell people you won't tolerate disrespect anymore. Simply stop accepting it. When the change is complete, you don't need to announce it. It's obvious.
The transformation isn't complete until it becomes your new normal. Living for yourself isn't a phase. It's a permanent shift in how you operate. When you've truly changed, you won't feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. You won't second-guess your boundaries. You won't apologize for taking up space. It will feel natural, right? Non-negotiable, because you're not performing a new identity. You've become her. So here's what it comes down to. Women who transform don't announce it. They don't explain it. They don't justify it. They simply stop living for others and start living for themselves. They set boundaries without guilt. They prioritize their needs without apology. They protect their energy without explanation. And they don't reveal the change until it's irreversible. Most women will watch this and still seek approval for changing. If you're serious, you won't.
Right after this video, identify one boundary you need to set. One thing you've been saying yes to that needs to become a no. One person you've been accommodating at your own expense. One obligation you've been carrying that isn't yours. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just implement it. Then come back in 90 days and tell me who you've become. Because understanding why you should live for yourself means nothing. Actually doing it is everything.